SOLIDWORKS routing offers several new enhancements for improved usability and more control over routes. In this first example, we will look at a testing machine for the myomo grasping mechanism. We have two pneumatic cylinders that need an air supply system designed. This will include a rigid pipe from the FLR to the valve manifold, as well as a second flexible hose assembly, as the first has already been designed. Before creating any new routes, let's look at a new option for routing, which allows you to stop SOLIDWORKS from zooming to fit after the placement of route components. This gives you more control based on your desired routing experience. To create our first route, I will turn on routing control points in the design, as we're going to create a threaded pipe route directly from the FLR to the valve manifold without placing any components first. It's simple to start a route at any control point with a right mouse click and choosing Start Route. In this case, we will use a threaded pipe and threaded elbows as the default. Likewise, we can add the port on the valve manifold in a similar fashion with Add to Route. We will now use SOLIDWORKS Routing's powerful Auto Route tool. SOLIDWORKS generates an orthogonal route between the two segments. New in SOLIDWORKS 2017, you now have a mouse toggle at the cursor to switch between up to 7 different route possibilities via the right mouse button. If at any time you press the left mouse button to accept, the cursor goes away. Notice also that in the Property Manager, routing now lists a number associated with each possible route, making it easier to recall the route path you prefer should you go past it. Clicking within this text box also brings back the new selection cursor. Let's select the third route path as it meets our needs. Notice the vertical pipe's location isn't defined yet, however. We could dimension the location, but in this case I would like to leverage a pipe nipple connected to the valve manifold. Pipe nipples are a new type of route component in SOLIDWORKS 2017. Pipe nipples represent prefabricated or off-the-shelf components, not custom pipes as we've seen before. SOLIDWORKS routing in 2017 now comes with and supports 5 different types of pipe nipples in the design library: weld, hose, hex, close, and barrel, which we will use for this example. To place a pipe nipple, simply drag it and drop it onto the route like any other route component. Routing splits the existing pipe at this point, like a T or other junction types. For this nipple, however, we no longer need the adjacent pipe segments, so we will remove those segments with Remove Pipe from the right mouse menu. Notice that the nipple now acts as a low-cost pipe segment on its own, eliminating the need for a custom fabricated pipe in this instance. Another new enhancement specific to fabricated pipes and tubing in SOLIDWORKS is their ability to now properly support the creation of exploded views. Like regular SOLIDWORKS assemblies, these are accessed from the configuration menu within the assembly itself. The standard SOLIDWORKS exploded view tools are used in this case, making it quick and easy to create detailed manufacturing views that are easy to understand. And like exploded views in assemblies, all of the steps are created and you have the ability to collapse, also with animation. While we are here, I'm going to quickly add some custom properties to this route, number and description, as we're going to be looking at a bill of materials in our next example. Let's return to our top-level assembly to take a look. As mentioned previously, we have an existing flexible hose assembly already created between the valve manifold and the left pneumatic cylinder. Let's take a look at a bill of materials created within this assembly. You can see both the previous pipe route we just created and also the existing hose assembly, and as expected, they both have a quantity of 1. The reason for mentioning this is there are times you want to reuse a routed assembly. However, historically, due to the nature of how they're created, this wasn't possible. Now, however, in SOLIDWORKS 2017, you can reuse routed assemblies. Simply right-click on the existing routed assembly and choose Reuse Route. SOLIDWORKS then asks you to initially place the new version of the route. Pressing OK like any other SOLIDWORKS component simply places it at the assembly origin. SOLIDWORKS presents you with a list of the components used in the original route, which you can then place like any other routed component. In this example, we will start by placing the first push-to-connect fitting in the port on the bottom of the valve manifold using the built-in mate references common to routed components. For the second fitting, we will insert it into the port on the end of the pneumatic cylinder like the opposite side. Immediately upon doing so, SOLIDWORKS routes the two connectors together. Notice that the segment lengths are black, meaning their lengths are fully defined, as they are linked to the parent route, ensuring they are comprised of the same components and hose lengths. Not only are the routes the same length and contain the same components, if we return to the bill of materials we looked at previously, we can see the item in the bill of material correctly associates the two routes to one another, increasing the quantity to 2 in this case. Likewise, selecting the row in the bill of materials correctly highlights both of the associated routes. Additionally, you can use this method to create a new route and then unlink them from one another if so desired. Next, let's take a look at a different assembly using a different type of route in SOLIDWORKS and an electrical wiring harness connecting the MYOMO control module to the grasping mechanism. We'll hide some of the components to reveal a unique circumstance for this route. It contains what is referred to as disjointed routes. Disjointed routes are routes which contain multiple or new route segments chained from one connector or a component to one another. These are different than branches within a harness. Previously, SOLIDWORKS routing would not be able to flatten these route types and would present an error upon trying to do so. SOLIDWORKS 2017 now supports the flattening of disjointed routes, allowing for more manufacturing scenarios. Let's take a look at an already created flattened route using the annotation style. Annotation flattening is not true scale, but is used to represent a very clear view of the components, wire links, and pin connections. These are ideal for drawing documentation as opposed to manufacturing layouts which are used for pin board creation. Notice in the drawing that the bill of materials contains all of the components and required wire lengths for this wire harness. This was not previously possible with disjointed routes in SOLIDWORKS. As we've seen, SOLIDWORKS routing offers many new enhancements that improve both the ease of use of creating routed assemblies, but also provide more use cases for unique manufacturing scenarios.